This segment is brought to you by A.J. Doman Chevrolet. We say yes when others say no.
Hello and welcome to this edition of Bayou Time. I'm your host, Keith Weissite, licensed clinical social worker with Terraborn Home Care. Thanking you for joining us. However you may be joining us, we appreciate it very, very much. And we always like to get our updates on what things that are happening over in Assumption Parish. Turn our attention to Commander Lonnie Cavalier. Commander, how are you doing today, sir?
Doing good, Keith. Thanks for having us.
Yes, sir. I appreciate that. All right, let's start with a little rundown of some of the people that we've had been arrested. Let's start off with Alexis L. Groh.
Yes, Alexis L. Groh, 30, of 108 Lindsay Street, Thibodaux, Louisiana, was arrested on felony drug distribution charges arising from Operation Fresh Catch. As part of Operation Fresh Catch, narcotics officers developed information indicating that Alexis L. Groh was trafficking in illegal narcotics in Assumption Parish. As part of that investigation, agents established probable cause to obtain arrest warrants for Alexis L. Groh. Alexis L. Groh was arrested in St. Mary Parish on local charges there. Alexis L. Groh was released to the custody of the Assumption Parish Sheriff's Office on November 12, 2025. Alexis L. Groh was booked into the Assumption Parish Detention Center on charges of distribution of a Schedule II controlled dangerous substance, to wit, fentanyl. Alexis L. Groh remains incarcerated with her bond set at $200,000.
Wow, thank you very much, Commander. All right, now let's talk a little bit about this arrest of Darren Paul Anderson.
Yes, Darren Paul Anderson, 42, of 39161 Highway 74, Gonzales, was arrested on felony drug charges arising from a traffic stop on LA 70 East. A uniformed patrol deputy assigned to the ICE detail observed an eastbound vehicle on LA 70 commit a traffic violation, and it attempted a stop of that vehicle. The suspect driver disregarded the deputy's attempt to stop him and continued on LA 70, at which time he began driving recklessly, endangering the motoring public. The suspect turned into a business near the Assumption Parish line. The deputy gave loud verbal commands for the driver to exit, but to no avail. The suspect driver was eventually removed from the car, but continued to resist deputies. He was arrested. A canine conducted an open-air sniff of the suspect vehicle and alerted positive for the presence of controlled dangerous substance. An ensuing search of the suspect vehicle yielded quantities of methamphetamine and drug paraphernalia, which were seized. The driver, now identified as Darren Paul Anderson, was booked into the Assumption Parish Detention Center on charges of possession of methamphetamine, possession of drug paraphernalia, aggravated flight from an officer, resisting an officer, following too closely, and careless operation of a motor vehicle. Darren Paul Anderson remains incarcerated with his bond set at $85,000.
Thank you, Commander. We appreciate that. Now let's talk about this off-road vehicle pursuit where we have a nice arrest of Tyreek Fabian Jones.
Yes, Tyreek Fabian Jones, 27, 172 Peterbilt Lane, Belrose, Louisiana, was arrested on felony charges following a traffic incident involving an off-road vehicle and subsequent pursuit south of Belrose. A uniformed patrol deputy assigned to the ICE detail observed multiple dirt bikes traveling LA 308 near Pankerville and attempted an investigative stop of those vehicles. The two operators engaged the deputy in a pursuit and crossed the LA 70 bridge turning north on LA 1. One of the violators made it into the cane field while the other continued north. The deputy continued pursuit of one of the bikes. The operator of the bike eventually crashed, fled on foot, and was arrested. The suspect, now identified as Tyreek Fabian Jones, was arrested and booked into the Assumption Parish Detention Center on charges of aggravated flight from an officer, off-road vehicles on roadway, and possession of marijuana. Tyreek Fabian Jones posted a $55,000 bond and was released.
All right, Commander. And lastly, let's talk a little bit about this fugitive arrest of Devon E. Lewis.
Yes, Devon E. Lewis, 24, of 108 College Point Lane, Plottonville, Louisiana, was arrested on a felony fugitive warrant following a traffic stop near Belrose. Uniformed patrol deputies, including ICE detail assigned deputies, conducted a traffic stop on LA 70. Deputies made contact with the subject parties of the traffic stop, including a passenger now identified as Devon E. Lewis. The National Crime Information Center conducted a warrants check and determined that Devon E. Lewis was wanted for burglary with forced entry in Pike County, Mississippi. Devon E. Lewis was arrested and booked into the Assumption Parish Detention Center on charges of warrant from Pike County, Mississippi for burglary with forced entry. Devon E. Lewis remains incarcerated pending transfer to the jurisdiction of Pike County, Mississippi.
Wow, I thank you very much, Commander. You know, it's really interesting. We talk about it all the time. Now that we've got this database, it's a way for us to always be able to be aware. As soon as we put something into the system where we have someone who is arrested for whatever means, it alerts us that if they have outstanding charges or if they are fugitive from other areas. And it's just a way to be able to know that and work very much better with police work.
Yeah, and we keep up with it. It allows us, to constantly monitor incoming warrants and warrants from other jurisdictions. And all the deputy has to do really is run that name and it kicks it back as wanted or not wanted.
Yeah, and again, it makes for much better police coverage. We ought to be able to do that. We get somebody arrested and they're immediately transported back to wherever it is that those charges are, or they're held here and charges they face here, and then they face those other charges once they get back. It's a way to keep everybody safe. It's certainly a much better avenue for keeping things, and people just can't run from the police. They can't run and hide. It'll show up somewhere else. Commander, Commander, we appreciate it so much. We're going to take a short break. We'll come back right with you, get more information on some other people that have been arrested.
Yes, thank you.
All right, guys, don't go anywhere. Commander's going to stick around. You do that as well. We'll be right back, right here on Bayou Time.
This segment was brought to you by A.J. Doman Chevrolet. We say yes when others say no.
Hello and welcome back to this edition of Bayou Time. Once again, your host, Keith Weissite, licensed clinical social worker with Terrebonne Home Care. Very glad you're joining us. However you may be joining us, we appreciate it. And as you know, we like to get updates that are happening, those things in Assumption Parish. Best person to turn to, Commander Lonnie Cavalier. Commander, thanks again for joining us.
Thanks, Keith, for having us.
Yes, sir. All right, maybe we can run through a few more of these suspects that we have been arrested. Let's start with Brock Jude Pipsair.
Yes, Brock Jude Pipsair, 34, 2572 Highway 70 South in Pierrepont, was arrested on felony charges arising from a series of incidents involving threats to do bodily harm. Uniformed patrol deputies were dispatched to a residence in Pierrepont. Deputies made contact with the complainant, who advised that over a 2-week period, Brock Jude Pipsair had engaged in a pattern of incidents in which Pipsair relayed threats of bodily harm towards the complainant. Those threats were made via social media, as well as on one occasion where Pipsair is alleged to have blocked the street to force stop the complainant in an attempt to engage him in a physical altercation. At the conclusion of the investigation, deputies secured arrest warrants charging Brock Jude Pipsair. Brock Jude Pipsair turned himself into the Assumption Parish Detention Center and was booked on charges of extortion and 3 counts of stalking. Brock Jude Pipsair posted a $40,000 surety bond.
Very good, Commander. Thank you so much. And now if we can turn our attention to the second-degree battery with Oliver John Martin.
Yes, Oliver John Martin, 39 of 228 Dag Street, Pankerville, was arrested on felony charges arising from an incident which occurred at a local public facility on October 13, 2025. Deputies were dispatched to a residence and made contact with the juvenile and his parents and proceeded to interview both of them. The deputy determined that on the date in question, several juveniles were at the public facility and attempted to interact with an individual now identified as Oliver John Martin, who was asleep at the time. Later the same night, the same group of juveniles encountered Oliver John Martin at the same location. Martin allegedly began beating the juvenile, which required medical attention. At the conclusion of the investigation, deputies obtained an arrest warrant for Oliver John Martin. The Gretna Police Department arrested Oliver John Martin on November 4th of 2025. Martin was released to the custody of the Assumption Parish Sheriff's Office and booked into the Assumption Parish Detention Center on charges of second-degree battery. Oliver John Martin remains incarcerated with his bond set at $50,000.
Okay, thank you very much, Commander. Maybe we can talk about this Taylor M. Burtis with failure to appear for sentencing from another incident.
Yes, Taylor M. Burtis, 37 and 32 Highway 1 Labradorville, was arrested on a warrant charging her with failure to appear in court in Assumption Parish for sentencing on a conviction for third offense DWI. Taylor M. Burtis was previously arrested in Assumption Parish on a charge of third offense DWI. Taylor M. Burtis subsequently pled guilty to the offense charged and was ordered to appear in court on August 26, 2024 for sentencing. Burtis failed to appear as ordered, resulting in a warrant being issued for her arrest. Taylor M. Burtis was arrested by Harbor Police in New Orleans on November 2, 2025. Taylor M. Burtis was released to the custody of the Assumption Parish Sheriff's Office and subsequently booked into the Assumption Parish Detention Center on charges of failure to appear in court for sentencing on August 26, 2024 on account of third offense DWI. Taylor M. Burtis remains incarcerated pending a bond hearing.
We appreciate that as well. And so let's lastly talk about this particular one in your area of the traffic stop and fugitive arrest of Cassandra Noel Quadravant.
Yes, Cassandra Noel Quadravant, 47 of 12424 North Palmer Lane, Port Allen, Louisiana, was arrested on a felony fugitive warrant arising from a traffic stop on LE 70 near Bayou on Wednesday. A uniformed patrol deputy observed the vehicle on LA 70 committed traffic violation and initiated a stop of that vehicle. The deputy made contact with the driver, now identified as Joshua Douglas Curry, 43 of 12424 North Palmer Lane, Port Allen, Louisiana. Deputy interviewed Joshua Douglas Curry and determined that Curry was driving under a suspended driver's license. The deputy issued citations to Curry for speeding and driving under a suspended driver's license. Cassandra Noel Quadravant arrived on scene to take possession of the vehicle Curry was driving. The deputy conducted a driver's license and warrants check on Quadravant and determined that she was wanted as a fugitive on a fugitive warrant from the city of Baton Rouge on a charge of felony theft. Cassandra Noel Quadravant was arrested and booked into the Assumption Parish Detention Center on a charge of fugitive warrant, city of Baton Rouge, for felony theft, as well as a detainer from probation and parole. Cassandra Noel Quadravant was transferred to the custody of the Baton Rouge Police Department.
Very good, and thank you so much, Commander. Just a little update. I know in your area, just outside of your area in Morgan City, wanted to just kind of update some information about two inmates that had gotten loose from the Berwick Police Department. And on Wednesday, November 12, 2025, at approximately 10 to 12 p.m., inmates Brandon Brunet and Cecil Michael Stratton here pictured, escaped from the Berwick Police Department jail. And so they have apprehended Brandon Brunet, but Cecil Michael Stratton is still at large. And while the jailers were there, what happened was they were securing inmates during lockdown procedures, and a brief struggle occurred between Stratton and officers. And during that altercation, a chemical substance was thrown into the officer's face, allowing these two inmates to flee jail. And we do know that we will give you updates as we get them. But, Commander, we appreciate you tuning in for us and letting us share a little bit of information with some others in your area.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having us, Keith.
Yes, sir. All right, guys, and that'll do it for this particular segment and this Bayou Time. But don't go anywhere. We got a whole lot more right here on HTV.
This segment was brought to you by Cardiovascular Institute of the South, providing our patients the highest quality cardiovascular care available.